Hiya! So I am filming all of these little videos for March at the start of March, and the weather has just been so awful that I haven't been able to get outside and do my normal taking a little bit of video on a walk. The weather's just been too awful to have my camera out, or we haven't been able to drive to the nice places that we normally walk because it's been too icy. So I'm just going to do these here in my office. So today what I want to talk about is pre-drive in dogs and training methods, specifically about training methods for pre-driven dogs. Dogs with a high pre-drive are really often dogs that are seen as candidates for quite hard training methods. So one of the really common uses of electric shock collars is to try and prevent predatory behaviour around often sheep. Usually sheep, because those are the ones that people really worry about. For good reason, they're very vulnerable to dogs. And so the thinking is that because it is such a difficult behaviour to change, that the best thing to do is to use something like an electric shock collar to make it so unpleasant for the dog that they won't even look at a sheep again. Now, I do have several issues with this. I mean, I obviously don't use electric shock collars in my own training. I really don't approve of any teaching that involves pain or intimidation. So electric shock collars are just a no-go in my world. But what I specifically want to talk about today has nothing really to do with that and has everything to do with the risks with predatory behaviour. So dogs with a high pre-drive it's something that's part of them. It's not really something they've learned. The various aspects of pre-drive, which I might do a little video about on another date, but I don't want to go into that right now. But the various aspects of pre-drive parts of it have been bred really strongly into dogs. That's why collies and do a modified chase but are less likely to grab and kill if they have to work with sheep, and it is very much a predatory behaviour to them, but they would stop before the killing part or even the biting part because it's important they don't harm the sheep. Whereas other dogs like terriers are much more likely to grab and shake because they're bred to catch often rodents and kill them so that they're out of the way, but they're less likely to want to eat them then. Some will. It really varies from dog to dog. Dog breeding's not an exact science. But the point is that these are things that they're part of who the dog is. It's not been a bad experience, it's not been upsetting for the dog. This is stuff that they love to do. And more than that, so because it's something that they inherently love to do, no training method in the world can fix that. None of them can. Reward-based training can't fix it. Punishment-based training can't fix it. Nothing will remove that desire from the dog. If they happen to have it, nothing will remove that desire from the dog. Not even old age. They might reach an age where they can't physically do much about it, but the desire will still be there and very strongly there. So this is my thing with training methods with predatory behaviour. So the best that you're doing with any training, if you've got a very pre-driven dog, the best that you're doing with training is giving yourself a moment's more time to call your dog back, to put them on a lead, to bring them into your garden. You're giving yourself a moment's more time. And yes, sometimes you can give yourself lots of moments more time. Some dogs can absolutely learn to ignore wildlife for long periods of time and in lots of different circumstances. But the issue is that if they're very pre-driven, at some point, if you routinely have them loose among the animals that they would see as prey, at some point something will happen where an unexpected situation happens that is likely to cause the predatory behaviour to leap into action. So, you know, things like with sheep, the sorts of things that I have seen happen with dogs who don't normally chase them and have maybe chased them is sheep suddenly being somewhere that they're not expected to be. Sheep lying down can be a bit of a thing. If the dogs are, often you don't really see sheep lying down, they usually are standing up. So if they're lying down, that can cause the dog to want to go and investigate them. Things like suddenly lambs appearing in fields because they behave differently than adult sheep, that can sometimes be a bit of a trigger for some dogs. So even if the dog has been trained with an electric shock collar and the owner feels as though it's completely safe now, the problem has been eradicated and the dog is no longer has predatory feelings towards sheep or whatever it was they were using it for, I would suggest using a great deal of caution under those circumstances, purely because all it will take is to be out on a walk where there are sheep and for a sheep to be doing something weird or to jump out at an unexpected moment. And then once the prey drive is in motion, it's much more difficult to stop. It's easier to get a dog to walk around and ignore everything around them because they know that if they don't, they get a sharp pain around their neck. But it's harder for that to happen. So adrenaline is the best painkiller in the world. That's why you see sports people playing on with very severe injuries in some circumstances. They literally can't feel the pain as much. So the electric shock training is absolutely dependent on the dog continuing to be suppressed, and if anything happens that allows those excitement levels to rise, the chances are they will just run through the pain. That's why in America, when people fence their gardens in with invisible fencing and the dog wears a collar and it gets a shock if it goes over it, dogs get out of those routinely because they just run through the pain. If they're sufficiently motivated, they won't even really feel it. And that's why no matter what training I was doing, when it comes to prey drive, I would always have another management option, no matter what training I've done. So I might use a lead. If I knew my dog was quite interested in sheep, I would probably just keep them on a lead when there are sheep around. If I happened to live somewhere with a lot of sheep and a dog who had a great desire to chase them or kill them, I would be fencing my garden in with a very high fence, so that there is less risk that the dog is out among sheep and sheep are doing something weird. Now, it's also a good idea to train them. If your dog's living in that situation, it is also a good idea to train them. I'd suggest using the word-based training because it's basically a nicer thing to do. And I think as effective as using an electric shock collar, as in prone to failure, effective but prone to failure. So I would absolutely train the dog as well, just in case somebody leaves the gate open. But I would want a belt and braces approach. I would want training and something else to physically prevent the dog being able to get into a situation where suddenly there's a sheep lying on its back or something like that, or a lamb suddenly springs out excitedly, squeaking and making high-pitched noises. I would want more than one thing. So I thought I would just do a little bit of a video on this. Prey drive's a bit of a thing of mine. So my belt and braces thing with Cullen, who's got an incredibly high prey drive for following smells and who sometimes gets lost. He has never ever tried to touch a prey animal, but he has got lost several times following the smells. So my belt and braces thing is, I know him very well, so we have done a lot of training, and I very often have him off the lead in places where there are prey animals that are exciting to him. Very often. Recently I had him off lead when I could see a bunch of deer. And so he is, generally speaking, able to ignore things like that just now. He's very, very good these days. But I'm aware that all it would take was a slightly unexpected circumstance to happen and he could get lost again, so he wears a GPS tracking collar as well. He's got a little thing that clips onto his harness that's got a GPS tracking device, and I've got an app on my phone so that if he disappears I can see where he's gone and find him. I've never had to use it to find him. It is, I've never, touch wood, I've never had to use it to find him, but it's there just in case. So anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.